So, today we're going to talk about a huge economic problem, but it's one you won't find on Wall Street or in some central bank vault. Nope. It's happening in our homes, under floorboards, and you guessed it, inside mattresses. We're talking about the mattress problem, why billions of people are stuffing cash away, how it's actually crippling entire economies, and what a modern solution to get that money moving again could look like. Okay, let's dive right in. And to really get our heads around this, we're not going to start with some big, complicated economic theory. We're going to start with a person, with a simple, quiet, nightly ritual. This image, it's really the heart of the whole thing. This isn't about greed. It's about survival. It's about a mother, maybe with tired hands, taking the few crumpled bills she earned that day and putting them in the only safe place she has, the only bank she can truly trust. Now, I want you to hold that image of one mother in your head and multiply it, because she's just one of 3 billion people around the world who are unbanked or underserved. 3 billion people, all essentially invisible to the formal financial system. And look, if you're thinking, oh, that's a problem for some other country far away, well, think again. Even right here in the United States, the world's biggest economy, a staggering 87 million people are unbanked or underbanked. That's nearly a quarter of the entire population living and working in the financial shadows. So the big question is, how does one person's very personal, very understandable act of survival, when you multiply it by billions, create a massive national crisis? Well, to get that, we need to zoom out from the single mattress to the whole economy. Economists, of course, have a very fancy word for this: Thesaurization. Sounds complicated, right? But really, all it means is hoarding. It's just the act of taking money out of the system and stashing it away where it can't be used or loaned out or invested. Okay, to make this super clear, let's use a simple analogy. Just think of a country's economy like a human body. For that body to be healthy, to grow, it needs blood circulating everywhere, right? Delivering oxygen and nutrients. Well, in an economy, money is that blood. And this visualizes the problem perfectly. On the left, you've got a healthy economy. Money is flowing. It moves from you to a coffee shop, from the shop to a supplier, to a worker's paycheck, and on and on. But the treasurization, hiding that cash, it's like a blood clot. It literally stops the flow. And pretty soon, parts of the economic body start to get starved. The way economists measure this blood flow is called the velocity of money. You can think of it as the economy's pulse. And when cash gets hoarded, that velocity slows way down, the pulse gets weaker, and the whole system just becomes sluggish and unhealthy. Now, you might be thinking, okay, this has probably been happening forever. And you're right. But we're talking about it today because right now, in 2026, we are facing a perfect storm of events that are pushing this problem to a whole new, dangerous level. There are 3 big drivers making things so much worse. First up, resilience. After things like major digital blackouts, people are terrified their online money could just vanish, so they're keeping physical cash on hand just in case. Second, there's the fear of devaluation. People see governments printing tons of money and they worry their savings will become worthless. And third, privacy. As governments introduce new digital currencies that can track every single purchase, people are turning back to untraceable physical cash. And this is where things get really weird. It creates something called the paradox of thrift. See, what's a smart, rational decision for you as an individual, to save your cash when you're worried, becomes a total disaster when everyone does it at the same time. Remember, your spending is someone else's income. So when we all stop spending, we all stop earning. We basically drive ourselves right into a recession. Okay, so things sound pretty bleak, right? We've got clogged economic arteries, a weak financial pulse, the whole system's in trouble. But what if there was a way to dissolve that clot? Let's switch gears and talk about a potential cure. This is the fundamental question. How do you actually convince billions of people, from that mother in a small village to a worried citizen in a major city, to take their money out from under the mattress and put it back into the bloodstream of the economy? Well, there's this company, Wodi, and they're tackling this with a 4-part strategy. First, they turn the local corner stores people already trust into mini bank branches. That solves the access problem. Second, they build trust using stablecoins, which are digital currencies pegged to something stable like the US dollar, so people don't have to worry about wild value swings. Third, they get rid of the crazy bank fees and just use a simple flat fee model. And finally, they completely erase the paperwork. You can sign up in minutes with just a smartphone. No ID, no documents needed.
All right, so that's the plan. But what's the actual impact? What happens when you unlock all this trapped cash? Let's take a look at how you can actually restart the economic heart.
And this shows the results perfectly. On the left, you've got that slow, weak pulse of a hoarding economy. But on the right, you see what happens when you make banking easy, trustworthy, and cheap. That velocity of money, remember, the economic pulse, it speeds up like crazy. The whole system starts to get healthy again.
And, the philosophy behind all of this is what's really powerful. This isn't about charity, it's not about handouts. It's about giving people the tools, removing the barriers, and giving them the dignity to participate in the economy on their own terms.
And this really brings us full circle, doesn't it? By turning every neighborhood shop into a bank and every phone into a financial tool, the idea is to empower those 3 billion people, people just like that mother we started with, to have more choices, more security, and really the freedom to write their own story. So that's what I want to leave you with. Solving this mattress problem isn't just about tweaking an economic model. It's about unlocking a truly unimaginable amount of human potential. The real question is, what happens to our world when 3 billion new creators, builders, and dreamers are finally invited